The Wikipedia world is rather led by the idea, of course underlined by stochastic implications, that knowledge could be generated by itself in a process without temporal and material limits. That means that the responsibility of the acting individual plays nearly no further role. The individual is disappearing. So not only the structures of knowledge should be fixed in this process, but knowledge in general. That means, for example, that the article Star Trek, with all its derivatives and under-articles, has much more volume, for example, than the article Mozart. The user determines the form of the product, and he does it anonymous and without any consequences for himself. The rules are virtual, highly dominated by the actual state of political correctness. The play is based on a virtual dialogue with virtual and at least nameless partners. The model could be declined down to the bottom, for example, to the university professor writing his own Wikipedia article, which is a perfect circle. The critique formulated by Heister is concentrated on this main problem, the elimination of the acting individual from the production of knowledge. If this is the general feature of the digital era, and it seems that it is like it is, then you have to consider fundamental changes with our dealing with music. But if you are convinced that knowledge is, even or especially in the case of music, is not just a stochastic product you have to opposite to this habitus. But that means by no way the rejection of the digital technology, but its use, maybe with higher and clearer responsibility.
The quest for information, as we've already heard this morning, is not to be taken lightly. The empirical retrievals of any work of reference worth the name are its animating impulse and principal motivation. In the introduction to EMIR, I remarked on the challenge of compiling an encyclopedia or dictionary in the long shadow of Wikipedia, not least because Wikipedia itself privileges information far above critical commentary. If anything, it maintains an attitude to commentary which is inherently circumspect, even if this does not protect individual articles from occasionally egregious errors of fact. But the ascendancy of information over interpretation promoted by the sheer phenomenon of Wikipedia does not seem to me to promote in turn an axiomatic equation between fact and value, or at least not in the same way as does a coherent work of reference devoted, for example, to the music of a single country.
I think that one of the key areas that we need to explore, and I'll be talking more about this a little later, is the way in which we network with other publications. We know from our usage stats that our most viewed articles, and I think my marketing director is down there, she can probably back me up on this, most of our most viewed articles are coming from Wikipedia, and we have a relationship with Wikipedia where we provide them some access to Grove so that they're getting good facts and that they're referencing us, and it helps people find Grove. Our current platform is also sort of limiting in this regard because we are completely behind a paywall at the moment. I'll talk more about this later too, but we are in the process of designing a new platform which will give us more flexibility in terms of the content we are able to make freely available. And so that's part of the process too. But you can't ignore Wikipedia, and it definitely does have a financial impact. So considering how to help students use it to find information that we trust and that we know has been treated carefully is probably the way to go rather than to pretend that it's not there.